Today, I'm going to show you how to configure the server.properties file for a Minecraft server in detail. We will go through each option, explain what it does, and how it affects your server. If you haven't set up your Minecraft server yet, please check out my previous tutorial on creating a paper server. Let's get started. Accepts transfers. This setting, when set to false, disables player transfers between servers, meaning players cannot move from your server to another server seamlessly. This can help in keeping your server isolated from others. Allow flight. Allows players to fly if set to true. Useful for creative mode or servers with mods that enable flight. For example, setting allow flight not to cars true enables flying. If set to false, players will be kicked after a short time if they attempt to fly, regardless of whether they are op or not. Allow-nether determines if players can travel to the nether. Setting this to false disables nether portals. For example, setting allow-nether false will prevent players from entering the nether. Also, if set to false, the world nether folder can be deleted, and it will not be generated upon server start. Broadcast-console-to-ops. If true, server console messages are broadcasted to operators, admins, in-game. This helps admins keep track of server activities. Broadcast-rcon-to-ops, similar to the previous setting, but for remote console rcon messages. Enabling this helps admins monitor rcon commands. Debug. Enables or disables debug mode. False by default for performance reasons. Enabling it might slow down your server due to detailed logging. Difficulty. Sets the game difficulty. Peaceful, easy, normal, hard. For example, setting difficulty hard makes the game more challenging by increasing mob difficulty. Enable command block. Enables command blocks when set to true. Essential for custom maps and advanced setups. For example, setting enable command block true allows the use of command blocks. Enable-jmx-monitoring is a configuration option that, when set to true, activates Java management extensions, JMX monitoring. This is primarily utilized for sophisticated server monitoring and management via JMX tools, allowing administrators to track performance metrics, manage system resources, and troubleshoot issues in real time. This setting is typically employed in more advanced server environments where detailed monitoring and management are necessary. Enable query. This setting, when set to true, enables the GameSpy 4 protocol server listener. This protocol allows external tools, such as server status websites, to query your server for status information. By enabling this, server status websites can display details such as the number of players online, the server's version, and other relevant statistics. This setting is useful for server administrators who want to make their server's status visible to players on external websites. Enable-rcon is a configuration option that, when set to true, activates remote access to the server console. This feature is useful for remote server management, as it allows administrators to control and manage the server from a distance, executing commands and monitoring the server without being physically present at the server's location. Enable status controls whether the server accepts status requests. True by default. This setting allows status requests to check if the server is online. Enforce secure profile. This setting, when set to true, enforces secure player profiles. It helps prevent account hijacking by ensuring that all players have authenticated, secure profiles before they can join the server. This adds an extra layer of security to protect player accounts. Enforce-whitelist. This setting, when set to true, ensures that only players listed in the whitelist.json file can join the server. This is useful for private servers, as it restricts access exclusively to approved players. For example, setting enforce-whitelist true ensures that only players on the whitelist can connect to your server. Entity broadcast range percentage. This setting determines the percentage range at which entities, like mobs and items, are broadcast to players. The default is 100, meaning entities are visible at the normal range. Adjusting this setting affects how far away entities can be seen by players, potentially improving performance by reducing the broadcast range. Force game mode. This setting, when set to true, forces players to the server's default game mode when they join. This ensures all players start in the same mode. For example, setting force game mode. True forces all players to the default mode specified by game mode genre survival. The available game modes are Survival Creative Adventure Spectator. Function permission level. This setting determines the permission level required to run functions, 1 to 4, with a default of 2. At level 1, Moderator, players can bypass spawn protection. Level 2, Game Master, allows players or executors to use more commands and command blocks. Level 3, Admin, enables the use of commands related to multiplayer management. Level 4, Owner, grants access to all commands, including those for server management. Generate structures. If set to true, structures like villages and temples will generate in new worlds. This setting controls the generation of structures in the world, ensuring that various features and landmarks are created during world generation. For example, setting generate structures true will include structures like villages, mine shafts, and temples in the generated world. The generator settings option, often left empty for default generation, allows advanced users to customize world generation settings. By specifying custom parameters, you can modify terrain features, biome distribution, and other aspects of the world. This can be used to create unique and specific world environments, such as larger biomes or custom terrain features. Hardcore. If set to true, players are banned upon death, and the world is locked to hard difficulty. This setting makes the game more challenging and permanent. Hide online players. This setting, when set to true, hides the list of online players from the server list. This enhances privacy by preventing others from seeing who is currently online. Initial disabled packs. This setting lists resource packs that are disabled by default. It allows server admins to specify which packs should not be used when players first join the server. For example, if initial disabled packs, example pack is set, the example pack resource pack will be disabled for all players when they initially join the server. This works in conjunction with initial enabled packs vanilla, which specifies that the vanilla resource pack is enabled by default. Level name, level seed, and level type. The level name setting specifies the name of the world, with the default being world. For example, changing it to my custom world will create or load a world with that name. The level seed setting determines the seed for world generation. Leaving it blank uses a random seed. For example, setting level seed 12345 will generate a world with that specific seed. The level type setting determines the world preset to be generated. Escaping is required when using a world preset ID, and the vanilla world preset ID's namespace, Minecraft, can be omitted. For example, setting level type normal generates a standard world with hills, valleys, and water, while setting level type flat generates a flat world with no features, which can be further modified using generator settings. Log-ips. This setting, when set to true, logs the IP addresses of players who connect to the server. This is important for server security and monitoring player activity. Logging IP addresses helps administrators track and identify players, manage bans, and detect potential malicious activity or abuse. It provides a record of player connections that can be useful for troubleshooting and maintaining a safe server environment. Max-chained neighbor updates. This setting limits the number of consecutive neighbor updates, such as those triggered by Redstone. The default value is 1,000. By capping the number of updates, this setting helps prevent excessive lag caused by complex Redstone contraptions, ensuring smoother server performance. Max players, maximum number of players that can join the server. For example, setting max players 50 will limit the server to 50 players. Max tick time. This setting specifies the maximum time a single tick can take before the server watchdog stops the server. The default is 60,000 milliseconds, 60 seconds. This is important because it helps prevent the server from hanging or becoming unresponsive due to excessively long ticks, which can occur from heavy processing or lag. By enforcing a maximum tick time, the server can automatically detect and address performance issues, maintaining overall server stability and performance. Max world size sets the maximum size of the world border. Default is 299999984 blocks. This controls the playable area of the world. Mod. The message of the day shown in the server browser. For example, setting mod welcome to my Minecraft server will display this message to players. Network compression threshold. This setting determines the packet size threshold for network compression, with a default of 256 bytes. Packets larger than this threshold are compressed, which helps optimize network traffic by reducing the amount of data sent over the network. This can improve server performance and reduce latency. Online mode. This setting, when set to true, verifies players' accounts using Mojang's servers. It is crucial for public servers as it ensures only authenticated users can join, preventing unauthorized access and enhancing security. This helps protect the server from potential griefers and malicious players using cracked or unauthorized copies of the game. Ease op permission level. This setting determines the default permission level for operators, 1 to 4, with a default of 4. It controls the commands and actions operators can perform. At level 1, operators can bypass spawn protection. Level 2 allows operators to use more commands and command blocks. Level 3 enables the use of commands related to multiplayer management. Level 4 grants operators full permissions, including server management commands. Player-idle-timeout, time and minutes before idle players are kicked. Default is 0, disabled. This helps manage server resources by removing idle players. Prevent-proxy-connections. This setting, when set to true, prevents players from joining the server through proxies. This enhances security by blocking potentially harmful connections, as proxies can be used to mask a player's true IP address, making it harder to track and manage users. By preventing proxy connections, you reduce the risk of unauthorized access and malicious activity on your server. PvP. Whether player versus player combat is allowed, true or false. For example, setting PvP part false will disable PvP. Query.port. The port used for GameSpy 4 protocol server listener. Default is 25565. This allows external tools to query the server status. Rate limit limits the number of packets a user can send per second. Default is 0, no limit. This helps prevent network flooding by limiting packet rates. Rcon password and port. The rcon.password setting specifies the password for Rcon, remote console. It must be set if Rcon is enabled to secure remote console access, ensuring that only authorized users can control the server remotely. Setting a strong Rcon password is crucial for preventing unauthorized access and protecting server management functions. The rcon.port setting determines the port used for Rcon, with a default of 25575. This specifies which port Rcon listens on, allowing remote management tools to connect to the server. Ensuring this port is correctly configured and open is necessary for proper remote console functionality. Region file compression sets the method of region file compression. None, zip, deflate. Default is deflate. This controls how region files are compressed to save space. Resource pack settings. The resource pack setting specifies the URL to the server's resource pack, which must be a direct download link. Players will be prompted to download and use this pack upon joining the server. The resource pack ID is used to help the server verify the resource pack. The resource pack prompt setting allows server admins to show a custom message to players when they are prompted to download the resource pack, providing additional information or instructions. Finally, the resource pack SHA-1 setting is the SHA-1 hash of the resource pack file, ensuring its integrity by verifying that the downloaded pack matches the expected hash. Server IP and port settings. The server IP setting specifies the IP address the server should bind to. Leaving it blank allows for automatic detection. You can find your IP address using PowerShell with the command ipconfig. The server port setting determines the port the server will use with a default of 255565. It is important to ensure this port is open on your router to allow connections. Opening ports can vary by router model, so check your router's manual or look up a tutorial specific to your router. Simulation distance sets the number of chunks around players that are loaded for simulation. Default is 10. This affects performance and how far actions in the game world are processed. Spawn settings. The spawn animals setting, when set to true, allows animals to spawn naturally, controlling whether passive mobs like cows and pigs appear in the world. The spawn monsters setting, if true, enables the natural spawning of monsters, such as zombies and skeletons. Lastly, the spawn NPCs setting allows NPCs, villagers, to spawn naturally in villages when enabled. These settings collectively control the spawning behavior of different entity types in the game world. Spawn protection. The radius around the spawn point where players cannot place or destroy blocks. For example, setting spawn protection 16 will protect a 16-block radius around the spawn. Sync chunk writes determines if chunk writes are synchronized. When set to true, default, it ensures data integrity during saves. Text filtering config, the configuration for text filtering. This can be used to filter inappropriate chat messages. Use native transport. If true, uses native transport libraries for networking. Default is true. This can improve performance and stability. View distance sets the number of chunks the server sends to the client for rendering. Default is 10. This affects how far players can see in the game. Whitelist. Whether a whitelist is used to control who can join the server, true or false. For example, setting whitelist or true will enable the whitelist. That was my detailed walkthrough of all settings in the server.properties file for a Minecraft server. I hope this video has helped you gain a better understanding of the various options and settings. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like and subscribe for more Minecraft tutorials. See you next time.